Hey guys, what's up? It's SlickshotGames here, and welcome to another News Time. I know it's been a while, but here we are. So News Time is when we discuss an interesting topic, an interesting news story that's happened recently, accompanied by some CSGO or some kind of video game footage. So let's open up this discussion and let's get started. So today's topic of discussion involves technology and cheating. So this British law student, the headline is "Law Student Caught Using James Bond Style Gadget to Cheat in Exam." So let's just run down the story, shall we? So a British law student was caught red-handed using a James Bond style gadget to cheat on her university law exam, in fact. So this student had 24 pages of notes written in invisible ink that could only be seen with a UV light, in which she took both the UV light and the 24 pages of notes into the classroom and attempted to cheat. So that's the story for you. She was caught. She got an F for the assignment. I believe all her other assignments as well, and ended up, I think, just failing the class, I believe. It says here, subsequently failed all her modules. So modules, I think, is other assignments or maybe the class as a whole. But yeah, consequences were had. But let's just talk about what happened in this incident. So we're talking about technology here and how it's expanding. People can access a lot of technology pretty easily now in the 21st century, especially in the US and in Europe and these more advanced societies, I should say. It's easy to acquire this stuff. And this technology, although this article will call it James Bond style, we'll call it a James Bond style gadget, it isn't really that advanced. The UV light, invisible ink can be acquired pretty easily through online purchases or even at simple stores getting a toy spy kit. These are actually very accessible. But as far as using it to cheat, it's way too risky. I can only imagine this student had to cover up the paper with her hand to try to get a dark enough environment to see the image. So that's already a downside to this cheating method. It's risky, high risk, high reward, but let's be honest, you're not going to be getting away with this. But back to the technology, it's so simple, and I reckon there's just way more advanced technological techniques you could use during these exams and these tests to cheat your way to the top. And it's just wrong how technology, and you'll be able to see how it could be misused. So what is cheating? What exactly is the act of doing this? So cheating, as you may know, obviously many of you know, but just to go more in depth, what exactly it is giving yourself an advantage over another person who's worked hard, or using information from third party, from outsiders, getting information that you wouldn't have originally or wouldn't have been able to remember, giving yourself an advantage over another student. That, and especially in the higher level education, you'll be seeing more and more kind of cheating happen as things get riskier. So why cheat? As I mentioned, it's as you get into higher education, it becomes more, the amount of tests being given out lowers, so it ends up being a midterm and a final, and that decides your grade as a whole, especially with these more business style kind of mathematics, physics, stuff like that. It gets pretty risky, pretty nerve-wracking. Test anxiety kicks in, and people decide that they have no other option. They're backed into a corner. They're working. They're busy. They don't have the time, or they don't have the work ethic to sit down and study. They're lazy. Many of these things can push these students into a corner, and they feel they have no other option but to cheat. And with the technology nowadays, it's not very difficult to do so. the quality of the education can affect this as well. They feel they don't have the amount of time or one-on-one contact, and especially in these lower division kind of schools, the quality of education may be lower as well, you know, and rebellious students don't help. So all these factors play in. You have to take all these factors into account and see why exactly cheating occurs, and that is why thus these actions occur. So, and it really it's a tragedy how this happens in the school system, especially in the higher level, and high risk, high reward, as I mentioned. It's highly, and especially in the upper level university, college, and especially here in the US, it becomes difficult to, or it becomes kind of a thing that people do to just kind of pass the class, but you can get punished severely if you are caught doing such things, and they have a zero tolerance policy on cheating, plagiarism, and the likes. So before I get into this next segment, I'm going to be giving you a disclaimer. Do not cheat. It's not a good thing. Cheating is unfair to all the students who studied, and in the future will also really hurt your intelligence and your work ethic, as you will be finding more ways to cheat rather than trying to do things legitimately and trying to really learn from something. And you're much more likely to learn from a test you took and studied for and failed than just succeeding from something you really didn't even study for. So there still is even success in failure, and anything is better than cheating. And you can't cheat your way through life. Eventually, it will catch up to you, as you've heard many times in the past, I'm sure, if you're a fellow student. Into the segment now, that the cheating, that there's so many methods nowadays, and there's so many low risk. Well, most of them are high risk, high reward, but some feel like just no risk. You know, I've seen it with my own two eyes. This happens. Whispering, you know, on the exam as a teacher begins to say something, or a student, or these ambient natural noises you hear in the classroom, just normal classroom noises. People under that will whisper to their neighbor, maybe, you know, what's the answer to B? What's the answer to, or no, sorry, what's the answer to number 2 or number 5? And they'll just be under their breath, kind of behind the little noise that happens once in a while during a test. And it's so easy to do, especially if you know the person next to you and this stuff happens. It's definitely tough. It's tough. It's tough to catch, especially too, and it's hard to prove. But many times teachers they're aware of this and they try to look out for it, but you can't really do much about it, unfortunately. But keep an ear out, keep an eye out. So stuff like that, Morse code, stuff like I mean, tapping the desk, little minute things that can be used to your advantage, and is very tragic, you know, as people kind of try to cheat their way through. So that's just tough, but an interesting kind of look into what happens, you know, behind the scenes, what happens during the test, and yeah, it's very tough, but I implore you not to. This student, it was ambitious, very ambitious of this student to do such a thing. It was crazy, the idea that this person would bring basically 24 pages, almost like a big binder of all these invisible pages, or all these blank pages, only being seen through a UV light, and just flipping through them during the test. Like, that's just, it's idiotic. Personally, in my opinion, it's pretty idiotic and quite humorous that somebody would go this far as to actually do this and use third-party technology, outsider kind of technology, you could say, unorthodox methods to get this information. It's quite crazy, especially on a university level and a law exam. Just it's idiotic, it's crazy, it's humorous, it's a lot at once. And yeah, it's the punishment was had, thankfully. So tell me, so that's about wrapping. That's going to be about it for this video. Tell me below, what are your thoughts on this news story? Would you ever do it? You shouldn't, but would you ever do it? What are your thoughts on cheating, with your personal experiences with other people cheating, stuff like that? Have they affected you? things like that, and the education system as a whole. Tell me down below what you guys think. And if you'd like to request any other news stories or topics, we'd love to hear it down below. Keep the discussion alive. Keep it clean. Keep it respectful. Keep it smart. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next week.